4, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're just have enough, I think, for a quorum. Okay. Well, welcome everybody to the October 23rd Executive Board meeting. Call it to order at 7:02, and conflict of interest question, officers and chairs. For tonight's agenda, I don't have any conflicts. Gary?
No conflict?
Yeah. And then Ran.
Well, I don't believe I have conflicts of interest in the communications grant, although I wrote it, but I think that
Okay.
we're not awarding it, we're receiving it. So
Yeah.
I think that's not a conflict. So I don't believe I have a conflict.
Okay. And Nancy?
No conflicts.
Okay. September 18th, 2024 meeting minutes. Are there any changes to the minutes?
I didn't see that, no. Not on my part.
Okay. So I don't hear any changes, so without objection, we'll approve those. Bylaws Subcommittee check-in. Nancy, you want to, I don't know what maybe you have. Go ahead, Nancy.
Or just real short, well, maybe short. So we've been working, our Bylaws Subcommittee has been working on the now renamed PP&R. So we've added references to the policies and procedures. At our last meeting, we decided that some of the things don't really fall into either policy or procedure, like the map of the membership and a few other things. So we're now calling it PP&R, policies, procedures, and references. And we've set up tasks for people to go in and develop wording for some of the policies. So we're working on that between now and the next meeting, and probably before the meeting after that as well. And once we have some of the policies, we'll work more on the procedures. But the document's coming along. Tom Sipe has been doing a great job of getting all that organized, and it's looking quite a bit better, but it's going to take quite a bit more effort and time to get things where they're ready to actually go into feedback sessions. So once we have it in some good order, we'll plan on holding some feedback sessions like we did for the bylaws. There will be some needed to go back to the bylaws and do some tweaking once we're done with that, but nothing major. One of the things that did come up in the meeting was about minutes. The bylaws do state that we do need to have minutes for every meeting, regardless whether it's a committee or executive board or whatever. And so we talked about that with Gary and Jeff and Mark in one of our meetings, and we talked about video versus actual minutes. And what we decided was, even though we have a video, we don't want to have people have to watch a 1 to 2 hour video to be able to find out what's going on. And it would be nice to have just a very short summary of minutes. So who was there, when it was held, whether it was Zoom or in person, hybrid, that kind of thing. Any decisions that were made, any topics that were discussed, and time of the meeting and the time of the adjournment. Basically, the quorum was established, who was there, that kind of thing, just very basic. So we're putting that into the policies and procedures. So are there any questions about that?
No, I agree. It's been kind of weird to just have the recording to lean on, and then there's no summary. So that's good. I think that's good for us all to do that.
Okay, that sounds great. We also talked about the monitoring task force. That's in that was suggested by Guy Siebert with quite a bit of detail. And I think I've talked about it at 1 or 2 of our board meetings, but it's come up again with some of these recent things on STR and FEMA. And that Guy has quite an extensive list of things that he's monitoring personally now. and he would like to be able to step back. So he's encouraging us to think about setting up a monitoring task force and asking for people to step up. So each one would be a fairly small activity typically, but they might be authorized, depending on how we decide to do it, to represent us in these meetings and or just report back to the NCAC when needed. And it sounds like Guy would be willing to I don't know if he'd be willing to chair it, but kind of have the impression he would initially, just to get it going. So I don't know if that's something would like to talk about setting up now, or if you'd like to defer that, but I just as we go through our policies, this would be a nice time to be able to put all that in the policies and procedures area.
So this is monitoring the meetings in Pacific City or sewer and water and all those things, so that there's a central reporting.
Right.
Yeah,
So there'd be
that's a great
multiple
idea.
people, right? Multiple people involved. So I should have had this actually up and ready to go, but
So that's great because it uses the website as a central nexus of information. Is that true?
that would be one way we could do it, yes. But yeah, I can go down here and look. It's actually I can share the screen if you'd like to see it. Would you like that, or should I just read some of the things?
You can just read them, Nancy.
Okay. So some of the examples are both the water and sanitation districts. Right now, he contacts the district managers and board chairs before each CAC general meeting for new info and updates. The Nesteca, Nesquin, and Sand Lake Watersheds Council, local project updates, water quality monitoring reports. Oregon Health Authority on water quality monitoring of our beach and estuary. Fire chief general info, sheriff's department, any specific crimes issues in the Nesquin area, county public works, any local projects to report on, ODOT for the next few years, updates on the Butte Creek Bridge project, county community development office, not only for land use updates, but other actions that might impact Nesquin, like the housing commission, sanitation department, FEMA regs, etc. And he wrote this last spring, so it was even before all this FEMA stuff came up. USFWS, what that is, Forest?
Wildlife Service.
Oh, Wild Service, Refuge Office in Newport, anything they're doing with our refuge. Oregon State Police, why they only stop speeders on Wednesday mornings on 101 along the Nesquin stretch. He says true. So, and then of course, Tillamook County kinds of things. So those are some examples he had that he's currently doing on his own. And he says spends a lot of time with it, and he'd really like to get some more people involved, and it seems like it's kind of one of our main functions as an entity.
Yeah. So I think I think that we put that into the policies and procedures and highlight those things. I just see the NCAC is growing in terms of things that they're doing, which is good. And we're going to talk about partnerships later and grants and that kind of thing. So there's just so much going on now. And to be honest, Guy's doing this on his own, and he wants to offload that to the NCAC, which I understand, and we should, if we can, in the policies and procedures a lot for that. I don't know who we're going to get to do that, but put it in there, I guess, is what I'm saying. I think that's what we should do. And I would say that that's probably a list, Nancy, that is going to, maybe change. Maybe we put some things in there and there's not much to report on, and
Right.
we put something else in there, that is more urgent. So
more highlights than everything needs to get reported all the time.
Yeah.
Right. Because I don't think Guy reports out very much, does he? I mean,
Yeah.
I
He
think
does
it's
it
just really
planning.
critical. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
true. But, I
Good.
think it's something where if like Mark, if you thought this was a good thing to start talking to Guy, he could probably give some ideas of people even he might even know who might be
Yeah.
interested. But
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
if you want us to go ahead and start doing it in the policies and procedures, we can. I just didn't want to do it if the board didn't want us to. So, because I know, there are concerns about how over committed people are, but these kinds of things may end up actually being attractive to somebody that might not
Yeah.
want to do the other things. But
Right.
they could spend half hour a month or something monitoring this thing or that thing. And
It,
Yeah.
might
it can
enjoy that.
sometimes be shocking what expertise comes out of the woodwork when their interest is piqued. So
Right.
there's a lot of talent in the village, well, around Nesquin. The
Yeah.
whole community is pretty rich and interest in stuff. If they get, it's almost like you gotta fish for it. And this is kind of a fishing expedition of sorts.
Mhm. So if we have the okay to go ahead and work on this, we can do it. But I don't know, do you want to just do you want to talk to a guy about that, Mark, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk to Guy. I mean, it seems, I think it seems sort of straightforward in that once at our next probably meeting in December, we might talk about this and talk about, I might ask Guy to pipe in about things that he sees that we should maybe monitor and that we're putting it in policies and procedures and we're going to move forward with it. Now, it doesn't hurt to have it there. If we don't get all those tasks filled, that's fine. And again, I think we might have to adjust it, but I think to say that there's a placeholder for that in the policies and procedures is a good thing. And we'll see what kind of interest we can drum up in terms of folks taking that on.
That sounds great. That sounds great. And then the last thing was, I guess it's not really part of my role, but I'm just going to throw it out. The potential, what do we do about this FEMA thing in terms of, it seems like it's something that where the county might appreciate or that we should be providing a response when we get a little more information. I think a lot of people were pretty stunned about what came out from Sarah at the special meeting, and it sounded like it might be helpful to her to have us weigh in on something when she has more information. But I'm just throwing it out. If we do, we should maybe schedule something and we could always cancel it, but it would need to be between now and December 1st, right? It would probably need to be in early November or mid-November. Depending on when she gets more information.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what we would say at this point, but with options 1, 2, and 3, but it's pretty scary.
So,
So just to interject,
ahead.
she
Yeah.
I was trying to get her to come to our meeting on the 28th. She wrote today to say she's going to a national conference and it's a big opportunity to share with a lot of other communities what Tillamook's position is, and they're looking for support from other communities to say, listen, there's some places that just don't fit the square peg that, and you need to accommodate that. So I think this is a big deal for her, and things might change in the next few months, depending on how that meeting goes, and if she can get some she can gather enough people together to say, you need to pay attention to this. Everything doesn't fit your model and you need to make some allowances. So I think we don't really know how this is going to play out, but she's still working on it and working on it at a pretty high level. So
And we never did get her PowerPoint that she promised to share
right.
with us? I didn't see anything from her, Mark. Did you get anything?
No, I sent that email the other day, Gary, to her, and I think I CC'd you on it,
Yeah.
and I haven't seen anything. I was just looking at the calendar. We're supposed to, the CAC chairs are supposed to meet with her on election day, actually. We meet on Tuesdays. And I think, without knowing more, I think I know it's a short timeline, but I think we should wait until then to see what we should do. And that's a good opportunity for the other CACs. I don't know if the others are gonna, I mean, maybe, with Sarah, if hopefully she'll be at that meeting on that day, or maybe she's gonna schedule around it a day before or day after or something because of the election, that's fine. But hopefully it would be a conversation where she could share some information, and if she felt like it would be good for us to do that, we might have a conversation as CACs about doing the same thing and sending it.
Yeah, and she mentioned that she's already received a couple of letters, I think she said, and she didn't say from
Oh,
whom, but I got the
okay.
impression it might have been other CACs with some kind of a generic letter.
Oh,
And
okay.
she was going to send us wording that we might be able
Yeah,
to use. So I don't know if there were things saying, we
yeah,
encourage the county to, we support the county in having more time to make
yeah,
decisions, or,
yeah,
what it is. But that December 1st deadline sounded, I mean, I think she's trying really hard, and it sounds like the governor sent a note, a memo to FEMA about, this is a ridiculously short amount of time. But,
yeah,
I guess I wonder if we could do something where we tentatively set a date. We don't announce it yet, but we have something so we don't have to come together as a board to set something again.
Right, so we're ready.
yeah,
So, we have just a date among us where we can always cancel it. But if we want to have the vote of the membership, I'd actually have to look at the bylaws. I can't remember if we would be able to just send a letter as a board or not. I think it'd be better if we could get the membership.
yeah. Approval of the membership, yeah.
Mhm. I kind of think that's. So there isn't a provision to set an emergency meeting, within, I
Yeah,
think we called it something else, an urgent meeting or something,
Right,
yeah,
within 3 days notice. So we could do that, but
yeah, yeah. Um, well, let's see, uh, if we were gonna do that meeting, um,
we have an executive board meeting scheduled for the 20th, but that's kind of late.
mhm. Um, let's see here.
Maybe like the 14th.
Uh, yeah, I won't be available on the 14th. I'm gonna be in San Francisco.
Ah,
So
okay.
for that
You,
week.
you don't want to
So
take a night for.
I'm
Kidding,
missing a school
kidding.
board meeting that week. And so, so, but I was thinking, I don't know this, we could set it for the 6th or the 7th. Um, we're supposed to meet with Sarah on the 5th, November 5th. Maybe it'll be the 4th or maybe it'll be the 6th. I don't know, but, or we could meet, well, that's probably, I mean, we could meet on something like the 18th of November,
Hmm.
or that maybe night. No,
That
I
might
got a
be a little
school board
better.
meeting.
Do you want to try the 18th?
Well, I get a conflict that night and the
Oh, okay.
19th.
Okay.
And the 20th, we have a meeting, so that's kind of a busy week.
Um, what about the 8th? We actually got quite a few people, or the 9th. People are used to meeting on Saturday mornings. Or are
uh,
you leaving then?
the 9th, I, yeah, I don't think I could meet at 10 a.m., but I could maybe meet at like later in the afternoon, like 1 or so.
Mhm. How does that work for people?
I have Slab Creek Farm meeting at 11 a.m. on Saturday the 9th. So that's gonna be at least a 2-hour meeting, so I wouldn't be available till after 1.
Uh,
So we could do maybe at 2, give you time for lunch.
And
two would work for me.
I'm
How about
reading
you,
my thing.
Gary?
That's fine with me.
Let me look here. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
by then we'd have some wording even where we could present. We could have a discussion and
So we're calling this the FEMA not discussion statement
response meeting. Yeah.
meeting. Okay, response. Okay, that's better.
And maybe have it tentative or something. We could put it on the calendar, but just have parentheses tentative.
Right, right. Yeah, it's kind of a breaking news situation where it's as it changes, you know, you just don't want to get too far behind the curve,
Mhm.
not know what is really going on. It's hard to
Mhm.
keep up with.
Yeah, because it sure affects your group, Rand, doesn't it?
Pardon me?
It really affects your task force.
Well, we
I
had,
mean, your committee.
yeah, we got that meeting bumped and we had a heck of an agenda there with a lot of stuff for her to provide. And she did say in an email to me recently, I have a lot of information for you. So that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted a real specific agenda. So the information fit the questions that we have. So I'm hoping that, and she thanked me for the agenda. So that means she read it, I think, I hope. Yeah. That's just what's going on. I mean, I understand her priorities. It's pretty big stuff. And
Oh, yeah. Gosh,
we
wouldn't
we
be in
can
her
wait. We just
shoes.
need to know if we need to take a hiatus or not.
So let's do this. We'll set it for the 9th of October or November at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but we won't publicize that unless we are sure that we have something that we can provide for that date as a
Right.
and I don't know. I mean, we're not going to meet before then, so I'm not sure, you know, I don't know how this is going to play out, right? And I mean, it may be, yeah, it may be that we get to that meeting and we throw a draft letter up on the screen for folks and,
Mm-hmm.
that she's provided to us and we take some comments and we make some notes and then we get a yes or a no on it from who's there and then we draft it. And we
Mm-hmm.
let the group know that we will take their comments and we'll draft it and we'll move it forward. But
Mm-hmm.
right now, there's just no information. I mean, Sarah
Right.
gave us that information verbally, but like, I emailed her and CC'd Gary and she hasn't provided anything. I don't
I'd
know what
like
I
to, I'd
did.
like to really be able to get a link to that set up so that people could go to
Yeah.
the website and actually get a chance to review it. Because I mean, I've already kind of forgotten some of the information that she's
Yeah.
talked about. So
Yeah.
it would really
I
be good for
agree.
everybody to be able to get to review it one more time.
Yeah. There was a ton of stuff there. Maybe I'll look. I don't know if anybody's looked on the Tillamook County website for stuff. I can take a look tomorrow and see if maybe they put something up there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll hold that date. We'll see what she says. Hopefully the CACs will meet. And if somebody's written a letter already, a CAC, I can ask for maybe a copy of it or something, or maybe she's got a copy. And so we'll
Yeah, it
have
sounded like she was going to send them to us, but maybe with the slides,
Yeah, I
because
just
that
think
would
she's
be
just
helpful.
swamped and
Mhm.
because I did email her and I haven't heard a response, and so I think she's just scrambling. But
Yeah.
so anyways, at any rate, that November 9th, 2 o'clock, we'll hold that date. Candace puts out the calendar, and I'll notify Candace that we have a tentative meeting for that date, but that I'll let her know the agenda and when we need to, I'll have to look at the bylaws, Nancy, if we're going to call it an urgent meeting. I think it's 24, 48 hours, something like that.
Yeah, I think
So,
it's 48.
but we'll try and
Gotcha.
give as much notice as we can. If we can give 2 week notice, then that's even better, but we'll just see, we'll have to see what we have.
How forthcoming everything is.
Yeah.
And who are the attendees that we'd be targeting? Just the
The
executive board,
membership.
the full membership?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. It says 24-hour notice,
Okay.
minimum.
Yeah.
Um,
We would want
but hopefully we could do
notice.
more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just
I'll
think,
let you know anything I find out that's kind of like she shares and
yeah,
it's pertinent.
yeah. Okay.
And I'm sorry,
Um,
I jumped the gun. I see that I just was talking about the next item on the agenda, so I apologize.
well, that's okay. We've covered that one now.
Check the box. Yay.
We're moving on to the community steering plan subcommittee check-in, Randall. So if we're done with I think we're done with the FEMA thing. I got it for November 9th.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that's the first order of business on our subcommittee. We had it, we thought lined up where we were going to get the information that we've been asking for. And she has prepared something, but she wrote today and said this meeting that she's going to, she can't pass up. And uh, Lynn already replied to her saying, we totally get it. And we look forward to joining. And she gave us some dates that she has to meet with us not too long after that. So we'll zero in on the dates that could work to meet with Sarah and get the information that we've been looking for a while. And I did include in her email that, Mark, I believe I copied you in on that and said, we're intending to take a hiatus till the first of the year and take some pressure off you to give us all this information that seems to be difficult to come by. And she said, thank you, and sounds good. So I think that meant if we took a hiatus till the first of the year, that would still be okay, but she planned on meeting us with us on the 28th until today. So I can only say, like we said last time, that it's obvious that this is a priority and that has to take precedence at this time, and that when she gathers together with us, we will have informed her very clearly what we're looking for from her so that we can move forward and understand how to proceed to go ahead and write up what we feel our recommendations are and start to have public meetings about those ordinances, unless she says, no, you can't do that. And then we'll have to say, how are we supposed to have a community plan if we can't say what our community wants? So we're in a bit of a pickle still until she's available. And there may be some things that Tom has asked for clarification in his review of the plan that we can zero in on. I'm going to keep the meeting on the 28th to address the issues that Thomas pointed out that we can discuss, whether Sarah's there or not. We need to find clarity there. So we will be meeting the 28th, and then we will be looking to meet with Sarah as soon as we can after that. And in that time, we'll find out more about FEMA, but we'll also get a little bit of work done for the issues that we can clarify on our own.
Yeah, okay, I don't, were the dates in November, Rand, that she could meet, or? You just recall?
Let me look on my phone. So I just got it in the last couple hours.
Oh, okay.
She said. Let's see. I won't read you the part about the meeting in Colorado. The week of November 4th, I can do Monday afternoon.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's pretty soon.
Yeah, that is pretty
No,
soon.
it's a week or 10 days away, so
Okay.
it's no big deal. So I mean, I guess we'll have to get a notice out about that meeting because well, I guess it's 11 days away or something. Anyway, we'll clarify that within our committee and then get that information to Candace and Gary.
Okay.
With Sarah being on the agenda as the main thing.
Okay. All right. So, okay, thanks, Rand. Is that it then?
I think so, unless
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
think of any questions that you have. We're trying to unfreeze and then
Yeah.
find out if we're just taking a break until
Yeah.
FEMA and everything else settles down, the election and holidays and all that. It might just be better to just say, let's get going again on the 1st. Really
Yeah.
depends on what we get from Sarah. If that really answers a lot of questions, that allows us to move forward and we can do our own committee work.
Yeah.
Our big goal, as Nancy had said before, we really missed the idea of having the public engaged and have meetings, and winter may not be as easy or might be easier because the Zoom meetings, you just tune in and you're there. And so we would like to have more public meetings around the ordinance issue and present the ordinances and see what the response is and see if we can get support behind certain things that are really clear so that we can have our recommendations be sent to the county, whether they accept them or not is a whole nother dialogue that will probably go on for another year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we can present our community plan and have it be our final community plan. It's whether they then say, we can't do any of there's stuff from the 2001 plan that are still there that are just not enacted because they say we can't do that.
Yeah. Your committee is in a really tough spot right now with the ordinances and what Guy knows about the county in terms of, there's it called Measure 56 notices and ordinances.
Right, takings.
Limitations, and they're tightening up on a lot of that as a county, I think, and they're going to be less permissive on a lot of those things. I think they don't want to go down that road. So it's a really tough spot and it'll take some time. I mean, the conversation with Sarah will be the sort of really, really important to get her feel about what she thinks and, and then having feedback sessions about ordinances, how people feel about it and whether community wants to, that's a time process. And so that will take some time, but I would think, Rand, that if you could find out some clarity from Sarah going in before the holidays about I mean, I don't know, Rand, the ground rules, if you will, and I mean, she could, here's where we'd like you to stay, and she may say, I understand you want to go here, so you know, you can try and go there if you want to go there, but I don't know how she's going to word this conversation, but which will be interesting to hear because
Yeah,
and I don't, yeah, anyways, you're in a really tough spot and it's going to take some time. So I think if you could just clarify that going into the holidays and you came back in January, that might not
that'd
be
be a
bad
big
thing.
deal,
That
yeah.
might not be a bad thing to take a little bit of a break, but anyways,
Yeah. Well, it'll be an interesting choreography,
yeah,
how she can express
yeah,
something that is supportive of our community, but also says, but it's not gonna happen.
right, right. I know, I know.
But I think it's legitimate and that maybe that's just the way it is, but we
Yeah,
still should be able to express ourselves. So
yeah,
Well, yeah,
then we'll have,
exactly, Brandon. We do. It's important for us to express ourselves on our plan, even if at the county they're saying that's not possible. Who's to say that the citizens of Nesco or any other CAC could go to the legislature instead? And if it comes down from the state, it's not very likely. But I
right,
think it's difficult to come up with a plan that's only things that are going to be implementable. I mean, because that basically cuts it in half as to, well, we had this vision, but we're not going to share it because we know it's
yeah,
unachievable.
Well, and as you say, I think things can change, just this whole FEMA thing that's come up and SB 406 and, all these things come up and it could be it's not achievable today, but in 5 years it would be. And so,
Yeah, we
yeah,
at
I
least
think
want to
we
have
should put
have
in
the
what we
desires
want.
in writing so that they're not missed. And so, oh yeah, maybe that thing that you want now is available.
well,
So,
history has shown that Nesquin has been a leader on a number of issues to bring it to the foray that otherwise it wasn't gonna get dealt with. So, I think that that's a reasonable legacy to try and live up to. And in our community, if they have some consensus around the ordinances, I'd be thrilled, and
yeah,
that would be something we'd like to put forward. So,
yeah,
well, as to how viable it is, it's
yeah,
less the point than we've expressed ourselves, and that's our job they've asked us and
yeah,
we will
yeah,
have expressed ourselves, and I think that it's a legitimate voice.
yeah. Yep. Okay. All right, Rand, let's thank you. So NCAC access and partnership requests, update and discussion. I threw those reference Article 2 and Article 6, Section C of the bylaws. I was kind of looking through the bylaws to see. I don't have them in front of me now. I got to pull them up, but I um, I know Nancy, you're working on this.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I didn't get that to you earlier, Mark.
Oh, that's okay.
I
I
am.
mean,
What
yeah,
does it indicate?
okay. Uh, let's see. So,
So you're
so
looking at
Nancy,
Article 2 and 6?
yeah, 2 and 6, Section C. I just kind of looked, I think, the other day to see what might apply to this.
Yeah, I've got it up if you want me to share it.
Oh, sure.
Okay. I think I may have to, oh, no, can.
And I'm
Okay,
going
can
to
you see that okay? So Article 2 was the first one you mentioned, so
yeah.
it's more on how we make recommendations. I don't see anything telling us that we can't.
Right.
And then Article
Promoting
6,
communications, I see that.
Yeah.
Article 6 is Executive Board. Where are we? Oh, that's 5, sorry. 5
6C.
is long. Section C, actions. The Executive Board should take no actions that would conflict with the NCAC bylaws or action taken by the membership. And we may make recommendations to the members.
So
we can
that's where I
pass-
was for approval at a regular membership meeting. Um, so I'm thinking about a couple of things. There's this grant that Rand has, Rand, you've submitted to the NCA,
Yes,
right? And so you've submitted a grant request, and from the emails yesterday, it looks like they're leaning towards funding that. Now, I think that what the next step is that we have to accept that. And to me, we accept it as a community, as the NCAC. It's not the executive. We put that forward as a recommendation to the membership. That's what I think. I don't know. What do other people think?
Yeah, I think you're right. So with that one, I think I remember from the last time that the NCA would allow us to have the money to buy the equipment for the hybrid meetings, and then we would actually be responsible for holding it and setting it up for meetings and that kind of thing, and sharing it with the NCA when they wanted to have that kind of a hybrid meeting. Is that correct?
yeah, it seemed like the communications task force might even be able to recruit some people from the NCA who would then be a liaison and crossover to help, that knew how to run the equipment. So it wasn't incumbent upon the task force as it is right now to have another responsibility, except for a general responsibility as the task force. So those members wouldn't be asked to be doing yet another thing. I'm hoping, probably including myself, to be able to run the equipment and be able to get it from the task force and go do it, rather than saying, would you come and do this for us? I think we should just include members like myself from the NCA board who would do some of the button pushing so that people aren't asked to go out and do this on some Tuesday night in January.
We probably
It
need
seems
to,
like we need some, oh, go ahead.
well, we probably need to train some folks on NCACs to be able to run that equipment. I mean, I guess I
Sure.
would need to, Secretary Likely, as well as maybe one or two other people as backup, so they know how to use it as well.
Yeah, no, of course. And I don't believe it's too complex. I watched the setup on the on the video.
Mhm.
And as long as you put the plugs in the right places, it should work, and you're open to it. Zoom program and all that stuff. So I do hope that it's more of a partnership with the NCA and the NCAC to find people who can operate the equipment and use it for the meetings, that will benefit the community by having those tools.
Would the partnership also include the physical space where we're going to have a hybrid meeting at? I mean,
That's been the challenge, is to
Yeah,
find,
right.
we did the gallery at Michael's, and Michael seemed to be open to that. That was when he was here and it was open. It's also a good place to meet in the winter. The firehouse does function. It's pretty cold in the winter to go into the truck
Well, the
bay and
problem,
have a meeting.
yeah, the problem
But
with
I
the
think
firehouse
no
is,
one is living there now, so it may be that we
Uh-huh.
could have it well, there used to be a pool table and all that stuff there, back in the day when I was a volunteer, but I think that's kind of been domesticated a bit. So, and the clubhouse might be open to winter meetings, I don't know.
What about
So,
either of the schools?
well, NVS is definitely would love to get people out there in that room, the center room with the fireplace, which is, I guess, not functional right now, but that room is a very nice room to meet in, which will accommodate about 60 to 75 people. So that's probably the biggest room we have besides the fire hall. And it's definitely more accommodating in the winter. But some people won't go to the fire hall. I guess you have to have a compelling meeting in order to get them to drive out the road. But
Well,
so
And
the
it'd be
thing-
hybrid, so you could do Zoom too, right? They could
yeah,
right,
come
we,
via Zoom.
this enables us to do a Zoom. We kind of have to do Zooms for every public meeting because it accommodates more people and it does successfully include a lot more people. So
And
the
it's in the
live
bylaws.
meetings will be the challenge, but the Zoom meetings are the default.
Right, so so we need some procedures / policies on who keeps the equipment, any liability, storage, conflicts in terms of if there's not likely to be meetings at the same time, but you know, I think those are doable. But
Mhm.
there are just a few things in terms of a proposal for the membership. It seems like that could include some of those things in it.
So I
Uh,
think, yeah, I think, so Randall, I'm going back to the email. I was looking at the email from Robin. I think you and Robin talked, there was $1, I think. Is there something that we need to pay for, Randall, in this? Or, because you said you removed
Remove the
event.
fire hall
Oh,
internet connection because I went there with them and it worked.
oh,
And
okay.
so
You
it
were
was,
thinking,
I
okay.
was chasing my tail here. Somebody said it didn't work, so I wanted to fix it, but it didn't need fixing.
So we will be able to use their internet service.
Yes, we'll be able to use her internet service. Alex is a member of the volunteer fire department, so he has the modem connection.
Okay. At no cost and that kind of thing, Rand.
No, there's no
Okay,
cost.
okay, I see. Okay, I didn't know if there was a monthly cost or something.
No, that was the thing I was researching.
Okay,
And they came down and ran through it with me, went all over the building, and it
okay,
was good signal everywhere and it didn't fluctuate when we were there. And they said they had never gotten a complaint from the
yeah,
person who lived there. So
yeah, okay,
I'm saying it works.
yeah, okay. Okay, I think, so I don't know, so two things. This one's sort of an immediate and now thing, and Nancy, you're working on a policy and procedure for the next time and for when these come up. I think that
Right.
for now, because this is, oh, go ahead, Nancy, is that right?
That's right. I don't see anything in conflict with what I've been working with in terms of this particular thing.
Yeah.
I'm working on more of a widespread thing, but if it's something
Mhm.
where they're paying and I think we can resolve who holds it, how you transfer back and forth, who runs it.
Uh-huh.
As long as that's part of the proposal, I don't see a
And
conflict with
Nancy, if there's anything I can help
all
with
bylaws.
those questions, let me know.
So can I ask just sort of a question, Rand? So
Sure.
this is, we own this together, or is that right? Or do
No,
you know what I
well,
mean? I always think, Rand, if this thing were dropped and broken,
who's gonna
okay,
pay to fix
who's
it?
gonna pay, right?
Well, probably who's ever using it.
Okay.
But it,
I I I
Or
asked
if it
that
gets,
because, yeah, I
yeah.
asked that because,
it's legitimate
want to,
question.
I just want to be sure, you know what I mean? It sounds like we're getting the grant and I'm all for this. I mean, don't misunderstand this. I'm all for this. We're getting the grant. We're going to have the equipment. We're going to host these hybrid meetings, which is what we want to do. And they're going to use it also.
They only meet twice a year.
Okay, maybe
They
they're
meet
not. Okay.
Memorial Day and they meet
Okay. Okay.
Labor Day. Those are the only two public
Got
meetings
it.
they have. The board just meets otherwise and the grants committee just meets otherwise without public meetings. They don't, apparently they're not held the same public meeting laws,
Okay.
or else they just don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not a
Okay.
county organization,
Right,
but
right.
they don't have any members that would be traveling or would be living elsewhere where they'd want to run it for their board meetings or anything then.
No,
Yeah.
no.
But I
We,
think Mark raised a really good point, like if it gets stolen or whatever, who's
Yeah,
like,
I
you
just,
know?
if it's ours, if it's ours,
right,
then
and you don't
we
have an
choose whether to
insurance
replace it
policy
or
that's
not.
gonna cover that. You're right.
If it's not ours, then, so that's just a question I have.
Yeah. I don't think
Because,
anyone's holding anybody's feet to the fire to
okay,
say, you
okay,
broke it, you buy a new one. I think he probably asked them, could they get a grant for a new one? And you'd
yeah,
probably get
okay,
it.
okay. I
So,
just, yeah.
That's a very good question though. So so you wrote a grant proposal, right, Rand?
yeah,
And did you do that on behalf of the NCA or the NCAC? To the NCA.
NCAC to the NCA, the
Okay,
grants committee,
so,
which I'm the chair of.
right, right, I get it. So it sounds
I
like
didn't vote. I didn't vote. I let them
when
vote.
when there's a proposal to the NCAC, it sounds like some of these questions should be in there, that with answers, right? So
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to work with you on writing something up if that would help. I actually have kind of a proposal format I like that's called a 6-point justification, where you put the background of like why it's needed, the proposal, what we're proposing, how much it costs, what you would do with
Uh-huh.
it, how you would set it up, who would own it, that all that kind of thing. And then you
Okay.
put in a justification, which is, why you think it's needed, and then alternatives, which really don't apply here, but that one alternative, of course, is to do nothing and not get this, or to have it solely owned by the NCAC and not share it, that kind of thing, which we wouldn't probably put in there. And then risks. So what's a risk? A risk would be it gets broken or it gets stolen or whatever. And what would we do if that came to pass, right? So, and then the last one is futures, like what would happen in the future? The technology changes, but probably more than we need. That's more the format. It's an easy to understand. It can be really short. So if you'd like, I could work with you on that.
Yeah,
So
that'd
that
be
when we have a presentation, we could maybe have it for the next board meeting, and then if the board likes it, we could take it to the membership. I don't know. What do
yeah,
you
I
guys
think
think?
that that's a good format to understand, to apply to a number of things.
And Gary might want to be part of that too, because Gary, it sounds like what they're envisioning is that you're part of it's going to be responsible for all this. So, how are you feeling about this
Yeah,
proposal?
well, I mean, I'm fine. It's probably not going to be anything that I haven't encountered at some point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I don't think I mean, I never want anything like this to go negative at all, but things happen, and I just
Sure.
we just don't want finger pointing when it comes, if something happens. I mean, you've
Probably
seen our
me that's
budget.
gonna drop it.
It'd take 3 years
I'm the
of,
tool breaker of all tool breakers.
yeah, if we broke it, it'd take us 3 years for our annual budget to pay it
I
off.
know, your budget's
So
hurting.
we don't have any money, so,
How much is this that we're talking about? Just out of curiosity,
Pardon
what's it?
me?
how much are we talking about?
I think
Uh,
it's 17 something.
1748,
Yeah.
$1,748.
Yeah.
So it's a owl camera and microphone system with an extended 8-foot microphone so you can reach further into the room, and then an Epson XGA projector. So the owl cameras you've seen in the other NCAC meetings with Sarah brings.
It was just like
How
Sarah's setup
lovely
then.
that image is.
It's not bad though. It was better than I was expecting. So is it just like Sarah's?
It is, well, no, it's probably 3 years younger, and it went from 1198 or down, yeah, maybe it just went down $49 or something, but the price actually went down for the owl camera and microphone system. And then the Epson we used one at the Labor Day meeting that was about 3 or 4 years old, and it worked really well. And this is the newer model. for 450. So those have been coming down
Mhm.
pretty significantly to, it'd be nice if both were like 450, but anyway, they're
Yeah,
pretty,
you might get more members. I'll join if you have hybrid meetings in the NCA. I just,
So Ren, is that,
uh,
does it require any other external equipment? I mean, like, is the operator gonna have to provide their own laptop to run it?
yeah, you have to have something to run on the projector, certainly. So Sarah's been bringing all this stuff, and then she uses hers to project the, anything that's going to be written materials or shared. And so that's, yeah, you do have to have your own CPU in order to have some content, and to run the Zoom meeting. So we have all those things already. So these are just the tools to share with a group of people.
yeah.
And-
The only
and-
downside is, she's volunteered to come and bring all her stuff whenever we need her. And so it's a way to get her there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We wouldn't have that excuse to bring her in, but
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just don't want to be dependent on her, and it does allow us to do other meetings, without the county being involved and still be
Right.
able to have a live
Yeah.
element. I mean, it hasn't been the most, overwhelming. The public meetings are pretty small, like 20 people, but the fact that 30 people or some can be on the meeting
Mm.
in addition to that, and dialogue goes back and forth. This is Lori's, pet project, to have more live meetings and have actual dialogue with people who are talking to each other. Despite the efficacy of this medium, there's something else that happens at a real meeting that's just a little different. So this would facilitate that without being county dependent, and allow us to do other meetings that might be, we want to hold, that county isn't involved in. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
and it's not that expensive, and the NCAA will pay for it. So
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
these policies that strengthen and help us understand it are a good idea, Nancy. So
Yeah.
I'd be happy to work with you on that.
Okay.
So
Could you
I,
maybe send me the grant request and then I can
Yeah, I thought I shared it
take
today,
a
but I
stab?
didn't. I am sure. Yeah, and Mark saw these as it evolved. But I agree, I didn't send it to everybody. So I will send that to you.
Thank you. And it fits right into like the monitoring task force too, or maybe we call it something
Right.
else, but it's partnering stuff on how we,
Mhm.
what we do with that.
So I think what I'd like to do or propose is that we, at the general meeting in December, we just present this,
Uh-huh,
that we have been accepted for a grant from the NC. I mean, just what you've said, Rand,
sure.
and if you and Nancy have that document, it's just real clean and real bang, bang, bang. Here's why we want it. Here's what
Right.
it costs. Here's, and then I mean, I'm sure the membership will vote yes, and it'll be done. But I really do think that this is going to sound kind of weird, but we don't want to accept it formally until we vote on it with the membership.
Right.
And
Sure.
so, I just think that's important to do. And so,
Well, and Nancy's piece is our due diligence to
Yeah.
indicate that we've thought it through, and
Yeah,
these are the
yeah.
ways it'll be managed. So that's
yeah,
great.
okay, all right, good. Yeah. Okay. I think the next to the last agenda item is just the meetings through the end of the year. I threw that on there. I think I've got a conflict on both the November and December ones now. And wondering if maybe we could move it a day or something like that. I don't know. November, I think we're set to meet on Wednesday, November. Is it November 20th?
Oh, yeah,
20th.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, I wondered if we could move it maybe to the 21st, or if not, then maybe another people have,
I could do the 21st
or if we could do it earlier on the
or the
20th.
18th.
Okay.
Oh,
18th.
you mean earlier on the 20th?
On the 20th, if we could do it earlier, I could,
I could.
Yeah, I
do.
could.
Yeah.
Oh, could you?
could
Okay.
too.
What?
Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
You've got something, Rand, probably.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we never clarified whether the mailing could go out about the midnight pavers.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that could go on the next agenda. I mean, so I just got an update today that they're about 13,250 out of 2,500, 25,000. So they're over halfway. And it would be helpful if we could do this either by the end of the year, so people who give and wanna, I don't think they can write anything off, so. But it's the giving time of year, as your email tells you. It would be helpful if the request could go out. So I guess that's a policy decision, whether you feel like it's enough of a public safety request and a collaboration between public and private sectors and blah, blah, blah. Again, maybe you need to ask the membership that, or an email would go out asking people if they would accept an email that was like that or not. But it does seem that it does fit the mission. And it would be very helpful to reach a broader audience than the NCA, which is like 250 to 300, and this is 700 plus. So I think I pitched this whole thing last time, and then it was a matter of whether you felt that it would set a challenging precedent to other people asking to use the mailing list. But I would say they would have to meet the criteria of it being a public safety issue, being a collaboration between a public works department and private citizens, both sharing labor and cost and blah, blah, blah. It's a reasonably high bar to meet for someone else to say, well, they did it, why can't I do it? But I'm not sure where I'm supposed to make my case for sending that out. Would that be at the public meeting, or would that be a question, NCAC policy question for either this group or the committee?
Well, are you actually asking for the mailing list, or would you be asking to say, put an ad in it?
No, I would be saying
You
this would
basically
go
have
out
a
as a
blurb
notice from the
in a
NCAC.
newsletter.
Yeah, I don't want to share the mailing list. It's a one-time shot that goes out from the NCAC saying there's been a request from the community. And again, the NCA is putting out $25,000 to challenge the community to match it to get this work done next summer. So it's not like if it doesn't happen next week, it's never going to happen. It could happen in the new year, but the timeliness is that this is the time of year when most people give. But
So I didn't understand that I didn't understand that until you said that, Randall, that it was a challenge.
Really?
NCA has $25,000. Is that right? And that,
yeah, that they put it out to the community at the meeting on the Labor Day weekend to say, well, I was helping pitch it, and I said, well, how many people in this room after the presentation was made support this joint venture with the county to get these areas more safe that are chronic problems for potholes? And everyone raised their hand. And then I said, okay, who's willing to contribute? And it was about 85%, and they raised 2,500 bucks that day. And since then, it's up to 13,250.
Wow.
So they're getting a response, but there aren't too many mechanisms for outreach to do this. And the NCAC's captured the most emails through that funny raffle we did for the Michael Schlichting painting 4 years ago. So I think what we came to the conclusion of at the last meeting was there was a nervousness about sending it out from the NCAC, and who would be the next one to want that service. So I would agree, it may be a policy issue that states it must have reached these criteria in order to go out through an NCAC mailing thing. And I'd be happy to work with I didn't go to the last meeting, I admit, but I'd be willing to work with the bylaws committee to understand what that criteria would be and whether this meets it or not.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything about donations in there, so I'll add that to our list. But it sounds like you want something sooner, but to me I guess last month I was thinking you were actually wanting a copy of the mailing list, access to the mailing list, but you're just
That's
asking to have something included in a newsletter or an email going out that includes an article about this, right? And a link on where to get more information and to donate. Like the NCA might have a place on their website for donations. Is that how that works? Or
their website is scary. It's pretty
dysfunctional.
So I don't want to have anything to do with their website.
Okay.
I think it would be a matter of so my image of what this would be that the Midnight Pavers put together a presentation for the thing, and you could just get a link to it. It's PowerPoint. You can go through it and then decide whether you want to donate or not, and just have the PO Box 820 Nescoin to send a check, or Susan Lindman said she would be willing to facilitate Visa, credit card transactions. So it would be a kind of a package that says, we wanted to let you know that this was going on in Nescoin. Here is a link to find out more about it. And here is a way that you can participate by donating and helping meet the challenge the NCAA has set.
So it's sort of a public service then, public service
announcement,
right?
of sorts.
Like it's like, right, okay. It's like a bulletin board in a school building would be. You can come in and put your thing up on the bulletin board as long as it's not racist or, or sexist or anything like that. But
and I'm not sure how many people but it would be an email that would go out, and then those would include the link. So rather than a bulletin board, it's coming to the constituent and saying this. So you probably want to have some policy that frames what you can ask for, or what kind of pitch this is, or I don't know. I'm not a policy wonk for sure.
It's like we could write something fairly basic.
Generic.
That, if it's something that is within the scope of, Article 2 on our mission, but that we're not actually having money go through us. And it's a link to something that would explain it more. It could be a fairly short blurb saying, because I think people understand the road issues, the pothole issues, and that you have these midnight
we got at all our meetings.
People. I think the key is, if someone were to get injured while they're filling these potholes in the middle of the night, that we're not showing any responsibility for that or liability for that. So
no.
might be something interesting to run through by Sarah in her spare time, but
Well,
seems like
it's
we could
not
have a
done at
little
night
blurb
for
just
one
saying this
thing.
exists and here's a page to go to for more information.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
just for clarity, it's a professional paving company and the Midnight Pavers will be participating as flagging, and they will also be doing the gravel work to fill in on the edges of the road, but it's not in the middle of the night. It's definitely in the middle of the day with a professional paving company. Just to give you a little comfort.
Thank you. I don't know. What do
What's
you
the
think?
timeline on this, Randall? What would you, in the perfect world, what would you ask for?
Some policy to be drawn up so that it could go out by the December? When's the next meeting? November
December
or December?
Yeah,
second
So
Saturday.
second,
14th,
okay,
I think.
the 14th.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know how realistic that is. And it can certainly happen in the new year if that's not able to be accomplished, but
When were they
it's
thinking of
not
actually
gonna
doing the
happen
work?
till June. It won't happen till June, but the
Oh,
sooner
okay.
we raise the 25, the second half, the 25 grand, then that's kind of, okay, that's done. They've got their funding, and then they can proceed with confidence if it's, I want them to be able to organize and do everything, but they'll have 6 months from January to organize.
So
It
is
always
this
gets me to-
actually a committee? Like, is it a 501c3 or anything? I've gotten the impression it's just kind of an ad hoc group of people that go out there and pave, but this is fill in potholes, but this sounds like it's a lot more formalized. Is it being sponsored by any group or are they a group?
They are just a group of citizens who are working with the Public Works Department and hiring a contractor to do the work. And so the cost that they're trying to fulfill is about $53,000. The other 70 is covered through expenses that they're providing instead of paying for. And the county's kicking in 336 tons of asphalt for the
Well,
paving.
that's great. So the county is already,
$47,000 worth.
so they've committed to this in writing and all that. So
Yeah.
it sounds like the county would approve our doing this if they're kicking
Oh,
stuff
yeah, the
in.
county's, well, Chris Lady's pretty psyched about it because this is what he's told us for years, and I've tried to spread the word is if the labor and the equipment can be provided, they'll pay for raw materials. They just don't have, they have like 7 people to do all the maintenance in the county. So it's a ridiculous situation. So if he looks for collaborations and then he can spend money on materials. He just doesn't have any equipment or labor to throw at it. So this is how it gets done, really.
So he could put that in writing that they can commit. That would be nice
Well,
with
there
their current budget.
is a glitch in that he is committed in this budget, but the Midnight Pavers were not able to get the funds raised before September, October. They couldn't have the meeting till September 2nd. So the county is committed, but they have to have a new budget and needs to be included in that budget in order for it to happen.
Oh.
And Susan has said she's tracking every donation and money will go back if the project doesn't happen.
That makes me nervous when you say that, Randall, because the budget for the county is really, you're talking about the county budget, yeah. Yeah.
Right, but these are the kinds of things he can do that he otherwise wouldn't be able to do. So you're not losing any anybody's money by
Yeah, no,
by
no,
raising money for it,
Right.
because the money will return to
right,
them.
I
But
understand.
hopefully it will go through and the whole
Yeah.
thing will happen.
Yeah.
And there may be even other ways of the county paying for that in the 6 months that they have to figure out
Yeah.
how to do
Oh, the
that.
county budget isn't a fiscal year starting July 1. It's a calendar year. Their
It's
budget.
calendar year.
Wow, how odd. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
So he committed in this year, but he has to wait for the budget process and his budget to get approved before he can actually say yes.
And how much is his part of it?
47,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's an important part of the puzzle.
Hmm.
So
So maybe we should be waiting on this until
if you felt more
we find out
comfortable,
if
you
he
can
has
wait
the
till
budget.
after the first of the year and find out that it's not money that will be spent and have to be returned. And maybe you don't want your name associated with such a fundraising drive. So, I mean,
Well, it's not that far away, so.
right, I'm very accepting of that as a consideration. So let's just look at what any policy would need to be there. Again, like the grant. What are the
No, that's very
implications?
helpful. We'll include that in what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
And I'm happy to work with you on that as well.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll just put this off until the first of the year.
Sounds good. So
Does that sound better,
our-
Mark?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so,
Okay.
it's I've said this before, it's never one incident. It's never, it's never just this one time.
You gotta think through.
You got to think through it so that it's not just this. I mean, we're doing it this time, and all these things are good things. It's just, I just really think you want to have some policies or some steps so that, because sometimes, Randall, somebody will hear, well, yeah, they're going to put the midnight pavers thing in there, and I don't know, maybe there's nothing else that would come up, but somebody may say, oh, we want the NCAC to put this in their newsletter. And then it's like,
Right.
well, or send it to folks. And it's like, well, okay, well, what kind of screening do we have? What
Right.
kind that
What
I
are the
think we
criteria?
all do better if we have some sort of criteria. So,
Yeah.
We could
well,
even
I
have a
think-
form for a request, that people fill
yeah.
out. on,
I
we'd like
don't
to
want to
do
make it
this,
really
this is why.
complicated either. I wouldn't want to do
Mhm.
that, but I just feel like if you don't have some sort of procedure or way of justifying things, then you're chasing your tail all the time. You're saying no to this person, yes to this person, but if it's not based on anything, the organization never looks good, right? So,
Well, the mission is a pretty good touchstone. And
yeah,
there's
yeah.
enough there to make it work.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where I went when I looked at that when I did the political request for the
Right.
ballot measure thing, and
Yeah.
so anyways, yeah, I like that idea of just trying to solidify some sort of guidelines for if we can do that. Do you think we can do that, Nancy?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely. Maybe not by January, but I mean, not December, but
December
Yeah, no,
14th, right, but
I've got
in the new
I've got a
year,
note,
Yeah.
and you can keep me honest, Mark. Thank you for attending all these meetings, and Gary too. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna add this to our list. I
Thank
think
you.
this
Let me know what I
policy
can do.
manual thing is turning into, I think it's gonna end up being very useful.
Yeah.
So we were back on the next meeting. Did you?
I'm
Yeah, the
sorry.
20th, I don't know if the 20th, let me look here. So I'm talking about November 20th.
Yeah, you were saying maybe
Um,
earlier.
If we could meet at, Gary, did you, well, would like 4 o'clock be too early?
The 20th?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Fine with me.
Nancy and Ran. I know that,
Mhm.
well, it's not your Wednesday.
planning, but I will do it.
You have what? You have
Planning is either 4 or 5 to 7, but well, this will be 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock.
no, just 4 o'clock on the
Oh,
20th.
I see. So
No,
you're moving it.
just we're moving it to 4 o'clock is all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I
Would
got
you
it.
rather have like 3:30? Would that work for people? And then Rand could get to his fun time.
No, it's not gonna happen in an hour, but it's okay. I
Oh,
can give up a Wednesday.
we could do we could do 3:30. If that would help, Rand, would that make it a little better? We'll try and get done by 5.
It might work, sure.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Thanks for accommodating.
Okay, so that's great. And then the other one, I think we're December 18th. I wonder if we could, do you think we could do the same thing on that date?
Yeah, I wonder if we could just cancel. I don't know. Well,
Oh.
we might have that FEMA stuff, but getting awfully close to the holidays. But
Well, let's leave it there and if we can, maybe we can move it to 3:30, but I agree with you, Nancy, that by that time I'm gonna be meeting out and ready for the holidays, and so I won't wanna do that meeting, and so unless it's really, really important, we won't.
yeah, I agree. Let's keep it on the calendar just in case there's some emergency, but maybe
Yeah,
did you want to move that earlier
to
too?
3:30 if we could.
Yeah, that
Thank
works out
you.
better for me too.
All right, good.
And then that one will just be if we absolutely have to.
Right.
So otherwise, we're not gonna hold that meeting, so.
Yeah, because we won't have a membership meeting in January. So yeah,
Right.
I'm planning on canceling the bylaws committee meeting on the 20th.
Yeah.
too. So we do deserve a life occasionally.
Yeah.
It's important.
Okay, I think that's it. And so we're set to adjourn. So the two things that I think I mean, other than the committee work that we're doing, there's 3 things, the FEMA thing, and then the grant, and then Rand's the midnight pavers. Those things are we're working on, but so.
Do you want to just contact us after you have your meeting with Sarah on the 5th, and maybe we do a short meeting on the 6th just to talk about whether we need to hold a meeting?
Yeah,
Or
I'm gonna email Sarah and sometimes I text her too and it goes right to her phone and but and I'll see if she's really gonna meet on election day, which is fine, I guess, or if she wants to meet the day before or the day after. Normally we meet on that first Tuesday of the month, so.
Right.
So I'll ask her that. And so yeah, and then I'll have to let you know what I hear from her.
okay.
Okay, I think that covers it for this evening. So thanks everybody and have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you.
All right.
Happy election day, everybody.
Yeah.
Let's hope it is.
Oh.
Yeah.